How smart is a chimpanzee compared to a human? Have you ever looked into the eyes of a chimpanzee and wondered, just how smart are they? We humans often put ourselves at the top of the intelligence ladder. We write books, send rockets to space, build cities that never sleep, and sometimes forget we share the planet with creatures who, despite lacking our tech, demonstrate brilliance in surprising ways. Meet the chimpanzee, our closest living relative in the animal kingdom. They share over 98.7% of our DNA, and with that comes a striking similarity, not just in body, but in mind. Today, we'll answer a compelling question: how smart is a chimpanzee compared to a human? This isn't just about IQ tests or brain size. It's about tool use, social cunning, memory, language, self-awareness, and even empathy. So sit back and prepare to challenge everything you thought you knew about what separates us from the animals. Because the truth is, that gap might be a lot narrower than we ever imagined. Let's begin. Who are chimpanzees? Chimpanzees, or pan troglodytes, are native to the forests and savannas of Central and West Africa. Along with bonobos, they form our closest living relatives in the evolutionary family tree. Adult chimps typically weigh between 70 and 130 pounds and stand around 4 to 5.5 feet tall. They live in social groups of up to 100 individuals, known as communities, with complex hierarchies, political alliances, and long-term bonds. But beyond their physicality and social life, what truly fascinates researchers is how they think. When you observe a chimpanzee problem-solving, use a tool, or deceive another chimp for personal gain, you're not seeing random behavior. You're witnessing deliberate, goal-oriented thinking. And while their brains are about 1/3 the size of ours, they are densely packed with cognitive power. It's true, humans have the largest brains among primates. The average human brain is around 1,300 cubic centimeters, while a chimpanzee's brain measures closer to 400 cubic centimeters. But here's the twist: size isn't everything. Despite the size difference, chimps share a nearly identical brain layout. They have the same regions responsible for memory, decision-making, emotional regulation, and motor control, just smaller. Their prefrontal cortex, which governs complex thinking and planning, is particularly well developed for their size. This enables them to learn from experience, delay gratification, and even plan for the future. All key markers of intelligence. In one study, chimps learned to exchange tokens for food and even save them for later. That's not just thinking, it's executive function in action. One of the most powerful indicators of intelligence is the ability to use tools. Chimps not only use tools, they innovate with them. In the wild, chimps have been observed fishing for termites using twigs, creating leaf sponges to soak up drinking water, sharpening sticks into spears to hunt bush babies, and even using rocks as hammers and anvils to crack open nuts. What's even more fascinating, these skills aren't purely instinctual. They're taught. Mothers pass down tool use to their offspring, generation after generation, a clear sign of cultural learning. In captivity, chimpanzees can figure out how to unlock boxes, stack objects to reach food, and even solve multi-step puzzles that stump some young children. This kind of behavior requires goal setting, patience, and creativity, abilities long thought exclusive to humans. If you think chimps can't beat us in brain games, think again. One of the most famous chimpanzees in science is Ayamu, a male chimp at Kyoto University in Japan. He stunned researchers with his performance in a memory test that involved briefly flashing a series of numbers on a screen before covering them. Not only could Ayamu recall the correct order, but he did it faster and more accurately than most human adults. This kind of eidetic memory, sometimes called photographic memory, gives chimps an edge in the wild, helping them remember the location of food, rivals, and allies. Chimps have also demonstrated planning ahead for future needs, understanding cause and effect, and even grasping basic arithmetic and numerical sequencing. They're not solving calculus equations, but they understand quantity and order, vital for tasks like foraging or selecting mates. When tested in labs, chimps often perform better than expected in tasks designed for human toddlers, showing clear signs of logical reasoning and short-term memory retention. Chimpanzees live in a world full of shifting loyalties, rivalries, and politics, and their ability to navigate social complexity is a huge part of their intelligence. Dominant males don't just use force. They form alliances, bribe supporters, and manipulate situations. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? They're also capable of deception, hiding food, distracting rivals, and even pretending not to notice things in order to gain an advantage. In one experiment, a chimpanzee consistently tricked his caretakers by hiding tools for later escape attempts, showing he could plan, deceive, and even predict human behavior. This level of theory of mind, the ability to understand what others are thinking, was once believed to be uniquely human. Chimps also show empathy. They comfort distressed group members, groom each other to strengthen bonds, and even mourn their dead. In fact, some chimpanzee mothers have been seen carrying the lifeless body of their infant for days. a heart-wrenching sign of emotional attachment and grief. All of this shows that chimpanzees possess not just intelligence, but something approaching emotional and moral awareness. Chimpanzees don't speak, at least not in the way we do, but they have a complex communication system. In the wild, they use over 60 vocalizations, from screams to grunts, gestures like hand-waving and pointing, and facial expressions that show joy, anger, fear, or curiosity. They also understand human language to a surprising degree. Take Kanzi, a bonobo who learned to use a lexigram board, a panel with symbols representing words. Kanzi could communicate with researchers, follow complex instructions, and even respond to questions about future intentions. Other chimps, like Washoe, learned American Sign Language, using over 300 signs to express ideas, emotions, and needs. Some skeptics argue they don't truly understand grammar, and maybe they don't, but they clearly grasp symbols, emotional tone, and sequencing, which are key components of language. They also pass communication culturally. Young chimps learn gestures and calls from their communities, just like human children pick up language from those around them. A key sign of advanced intelligence is self-awareness, the ability to recognize oneself as an individual. Scientists test this using the mirror test. In it, a mark is placed on the animal's body where they can't see it, like the forehead. If the animal touches the mark while looking in a mirror, it shows they understand that the reflection is themselves. Chimpanzees pass this test. They look at themselves, touch the mark, make faces, inspect their teeth, and even examine parts of their body they'd never seen before. This kind of self-recognition is extremely rare in the animal kingdom. Outside of humans, only great apes, dolphins, elephants, and magpies have reliably passed the test. It suggests that chimps not only understand I exist, but also have a sense of personal identity. So, are chimps as smart as humans? The short answer, not quite, but the long answer is far more interesting. Humans have developed abstract reasoning, complex language, art, mathematics, and technology. No chimpanzee is writing novels or building civilizations, but when it comes to basic problem solving, social strategy, and emotionally driven decisions, chimpanzees are shockingly close. Think of a chimp as having the mental capacity of a 3 to 4-year-old human. That might not sound like much until you realize a toddler can understand emotions, solve puzzles, remember faces, ask questions, and manipulate adults. So no, a chimpanzee isn't smarter than a human, but it's not far off from a young one. And in certain tasks, like memory recall, they may even outperform us. This reveals something powerful. Intelligence isn't linear. It's not just about who's the smartest, it's about the many different ways a brain can be understanding their potential. When we compare chimpanzee intelligence to human intelligence, one key factor often goes unnoticed. Environment. Human children are raised in a world bursting with stimulation, books, language, puzzles, games, schools, and endless interaction. Chimps, especially those in the wild, don't have this kind of exposure. Yet despite this, they develop problem-solving skills, emotional awareness, and strategic thinking. So what happens when you place a chimp in a human-like environment? The results are stunning. Chimpanzees raised in enriched environments with tools, language training, social play, and human interaction demonstrate significantly more advanced cognitive skills. They learn faster, adapt quicker, and can even outperform their wild counterparts in memory, learning, and communication tasks. A famous case is Kanzi, the bonobo raised in a language-rich setting. Unlike chimps trained with repetition, Kanzi learned language naturally, simply by observing his human caregivers. He developed a vocabulary of over 400 symbols, understood complex grammar, and responded to spoken commands. A feat many thought impossible. This shows us something important. Chimpanzee intelligence isn't fixed. Just like humans, their cognitive abilities grow with the right stimulation. It raises a compelling question. Are chimps less intelligent than humans because of their biology, or because of their limited opportunities? Of course, chimp brains are still smaller and less capable of abstract reasoning than ours. But in the right environment, their true potential starts to shine. Understanding this doesn't just teach us about chimps, it forces us to rethink intelligence itself. Is it a static trait, or something that can blossom with the right care? In many ways, the intelligence gap between us and chimps isn't a chasm, it's a spectrum, shaped by both nature and nurture. Imagine standing in the middle of a forest, watching a chimpanzee quietly observe its surroundings. It uses a stick to probe a termite mound, gathers a few insects, and munches thoughtfully. Then it looks up at you, with eyes that seem to understand far more than we once gave credit for. At that moment, you're not looking at a wild animal, you're looking at a mind shaped by millions of years of evolution, capable of memory, planning, deception, empathy, and even reflection. So next time someone tells you that humans are the only intelligent species, remind them of the chimps, our distant cousins, who are still out there, living proof that we're not alone in our brilliance. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into primate intelligence, hit that subscribe button and let us know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, stay curious, because the world is far smarter than it